What if I told you that the smartest people are often the ones who struggle the most to hit their goals? And what if I told you that the pursuit of endless knowledge is actually keeping you broke? If you've been wanting to strike out on your own, whether it's build a business, write a blog, put yourself out there online in some way, but something's holding you back, or you can never seem to get started, or you can never seem to make meaningful progress, this video is going to shed light on why that might be happening. Maybe you haven't started that business or taken that leap or pitched that person or reached out to that publication because you don't think you have what it takes yet. Or maybe you don't think you're smart enough to accomplish what you'd want to accomplish. Maybe you think I just need more training before I can begin. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge lover of learning and have invested thousands in the ability to get coached, mentored, and learn more, but just not at the expense of taking action. So stay till the end because I am going to share with you how you can obtain the skills you need and learn what you need to know without getting stuck in analysis paralysis. So let me give you examples so we can actually make this real for you and prove to you why knowing more or being super smart isn't necessarily going to be the thing that moves the needle and helps you succeed. There was a guy named William Citus. He's actually cited as one of the smartest individuals ever in history. His IQ was estimated to be between 230 and 300. It's actually a crazy story. Definitely recommend you check it out because his parents kind of used him as a human experiment to see how smart they could actually make a person. But he got into Harvard at 11 years old. He already knew multiple languages. He was just a straight up genius. But the weird thing about this guy, William, is that he never really became notable in history, which is why you're probably hearing about him for the first time right now. Despite having all the potential in the world and being a genius, he began to live a more nomadic lifestyle. He didn't want attention, which as an introvert, I kind of salute him for that. But the only time he actually surfaced in history for doing anything notable was when he was arrested for a political demonstration later in his life. He was a big socialist, but he went on to work these low-level jobs and just kind of stay low-key, not really doing anything notable with all that knowledge. If you want to learn more about this fascinating story, Joe Scott published a really concise video just about his life and how odd it was, but Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, was another one who was just really, really smart, and now we really just know him as the guy who mailed people bombs and killed people and is in jail. But then you have someone like Richard Branson, okay? Richard Branson had dyslexia, which there's a whole list of celebrities that literally had dyslexia, could not read like the rest of us, and went on to become incredible entrepreneurs. He dropped out of school when he was 16. He founded the Virgin Group, which controls over 400 companies, and he's one of the most successful entrepreneurs that we know of today. So why does this happen? Why do smart people sometimes have it harder than us normal people? Well, the answer lies in overthinking. Highly intelligent people can fall into the trap of overanalyzing and overthinking every possible angle of an issue. They can pinpoint everything that's going to go wrong. They can see it from multiple angles. They can project into the future and see what the potential downfalls are, and it actually winds up hindering them. That knowledge of seeing an issue from every single angle and seeing all the potential risks actually stops them from taking action because they need everything to be perfect before they take the first step, which often means they just don't take the first step at all. This overthinking, overanalyzing, being really caught up in your head, having all the knowledge, it basically becomes a safety net because it never allows you to step out and actually try something and get your bumps and bruises, get the rejections that are needed, and learn the hard lessons. When we see a huge obstacle in front of us or a huge goal in front of us, whether it be founding a company or getting out of debt, these goals that, require hard work, that require a lot of persistence, that have a lot of obstacles innately in them, we get overwhelmed. That's why in AA, one of their central tenets is taking it one day at a time. And the reason why they just want people to take it one day at a time and stay in the present moment is that if you look at every opportunity in life that it will take you to not drink alcohol, your daughter's wedding, your birthday party in Vegas, your honeymoon, popping champagne in France, if you were to project forward and look at all the times you're not going to be able to drink, you might as well just give up. It just seems way too hard. That is why a sober person can usually tell you how many days they've been sober, even if they've been sober, how many days, weeks, months, and years, because they're literally just taking it one day at a time. How smart you are has zero to do with your ability to take actions and take those steps. In fact, it could even hurt you because a lot of the things that we accomplish, when we look back on it, we say to ourselves, wow, if I knew every twist and turn that in every step and everything that it would take to get to this moment, I don't know if I would have done it. But it's naive. It's that naivete or that ignorance is bliss where it's like you just go for the goal, you do what has to be done and you get there versus overanalyzing everything it'll take to get there. So my favorite example of this is King Solomon, who famously said that the more wisdom he sought out, the more miserable he became. The book of Ecclesiastes, which is in the Bible, which is thought to be written by King Solomon, was the first book in the Bible I ever read. It's more of a philosophical book. It has like really dark undertones. It's not like any other book in the Bible. And just knowing my personality, I know why I was drawn to that book. And I actually have been reading the Bible front to back. I finished the entire New Testament. I'm almost through the Old Testament, but it was that book that got me to start reading the Bible. I was never able to do it before, but there is so much wisdom. So whether you're Christian or not, King Solomon, who is the wisest, richest, just like the top echelon of everything in life, said this: I set my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. I perceive that this also is grasping for the wind. The repeated, intensified search for wisdom brought no ultimate meaning. The solution wasn't to think harder and search better. It was all grasping for the wind. For in much wisdom is much grief, and he who increases knowledge increases sorrow. The more the preacher understood the life under the sun, the greater his despair. The more he learned, the more he realized what he didn't know. The more he knew life's sorrows. And if you're an overthinker, I do want to share with you something that I heard Dr. Henry Cloud share in one of his podcast episodes. He shares that his father always had this saying that it's good enough for who it's for. And what that means is that we often spend way too much time overthinking and over tweaking things that aren't really going to move the needle for us. So with freelancers, we tend to obsess about the way our website looks and the design and the functionality, when really we're not being graded as graphic designers. We need to be able to send a client to that page and educate them on what we do. Not to mention, my freelance writing website has gone through so many iterations the past 5 years that I've been self-employed. So if I had tried to make it tip top in those beginning stages, I just never would have done it. So it was just something that's ever evolving. Also, as you know, cold pitching is a huge part of how I get my freelance writing opportunities. It's why I have a whole course teaching the strategy of cold pitching. But if you sit there and you overthink and overtweak and keep rereading the pitch that you're about to send to somebody, there's a point of diminishing returns, because at the end of the day, cold pitching is a numbers game, and that person might never even see or pay attention to your pitch. So you're spending so much time personalizing this pitch and making it perfect and overthinking it, when that's going to hold you back from pitching consistently. The reason why this is so important if you are trying to start a business, if you are self-employed, if you're an entrepreneur, is because overthinking and overanalyzing and inability to take action makes for a horrible salesperson. And before you click out of this video, I need you to know that as entrepreneurs, freelancers, people who are selling our services, we are constantly selling ourselves, our abilities. And I'm just going to give you a prime example. So the moment I started opening up about Jesus on my channel, of course, I started to get a lot of hate online. And I want to share with you this email I got the other day from someone basically saying me talking about Jesus is going to turn intellectuals off of listening to my freelance advice. And what I'd say to that is that maybe it's for the best. I find that people who are really smart and take pride in their intellectual ability don't seem to fare well when it comes to being scrappy, taking action, building something without knowing all of the details, taking messy action, getting that rejection. My strategy when it comes to selling freelance writing services is to put yourself out there in the marketplace and start talking to people. One of two things are going to happen when you do that. Number one, you're going to face rejection. And if it happens long enough, you're going to start to rethink your strategy and tweak it and do what you have to do to finally start getting responses. Or you're going to just shoot your shot and take messy action, not really knowing exactly what you're doing or feeling prepared. And somebody's actually going to answer you and give you a chance. And then you're going to say, oh, wow, now I have to actually learn to do what I told them I was going to do. That's how I became a freelancer. It wasn't some moment that somebody granted me permission and said, here you go. Now you're a freelance copywriter, you're self-employed. It was literally having to go out, talk to people, get rejected, risk looking stupid, risk looking like I didn't know what I was doing, but being earnest and wanting to offer that service. And that was 4 or 5 years ago. And I've made multiple 6 figures with my service-based business. One of the reasons why I've shied away from teaching any type of copywriting skills is because I know that freelance copywriters, these people who dream of leaving their 9-to-5 job and becoming self-employed, they will take much joy in learning copywriting formulas, taking the next copywriting course, practicing copy and getting critiques from mentors and groups groups in Slack, whatever. And what it does is it shields them from actually going out, offering those services to a client and getting paid to write. The actual feedback you'll get from a client, even if that client is unhappy and tells you, hey, saw your work and I don't want to work with you, but thanks again, you're going to learn much more from that experience and you're going to progress much faster than you would by sitting there having a mentor or a friend of yours say, is this good copy? It doesn't work like that. Copywriting is something that goes out and is tested. I call it mental masturbation. It's like people really love to just debate about strategies and theories, but any type of marketing, selling, copywriting is about putting your work out there into the world and getting that response from your work to determine whether it was effective or not. That doesn't happen in your bubble. You have to get out there and make yourself uncomfortable. That's just the bottom line. To clarify, I am not against learning and taking courses. I have taken so many courses to learn the skills that I needed to learn to become an online course creator and to offer freelance services. So I just want to share with you what my process is so I can determine, okay, do I really need to learn this skill and take a course on it, or am I just avoiding putting in the work I need to do this to accomplish the goal? What I always do first is I dive deep into whatever free information is out there, podcasts, books, blog posts, whatever free resources to educate myself on the general topic. And if I have an understanding of the basics, then I can properly identify where the skills gap or where the knowledge gap is. And here's the crucial part. When I realize that a certain strategy is going to take way too much time to piece together all different types of information in order for me to just learn the skill, that's when I pull the trigger and invest in a course, because I know that paying that money is more worth it than wasting my time piecing together all these different strategies. Actually, a lot of the time, if you're learning from multiple people with free information, you're stuck in a circle because sometimes those strategies butt heads. The key is to find a course or a mentor who is going to streamline the information and teach you exactly what you need to know in an efficient manner to get you from point A to point B. Although I'm a lover of learning, I will never invest in something that I'm not going to use. I don't leave courses unfinished. The moment I enroll in something, I commit to it. And most importantly, I take action based on what I learned, and I look at the tangible ROI of what I got out of that program. Remember, the goal is to not just sit there learning just for the sake of it. It's to learn as quickly as possible and then to implement immediately based on what you've learned. So the bottom line is, many of the world's most successful people are not the smartest in the traditional sense. They're the ones that take action, learn from their mistakes, and they're not afraid to fail, and they're not afraid to look stupid. And they understand that knowledge is only powerful if it's applied. Something that has helped me tremendously progress on my journey and not give up is wisdom from the Bible. So if you want to learn how biblical principles can apply to you generating an income, becoming an entrepreneur, becoming self-employed, not giving up, staying persistent, you're going to want to watch this next video. See ya.